Roy makes a deliberately provocative remark to a prison guard, and then when the guard wasn't looking, surreptitiously took his walkie-talkie, stuffed it in his trouser pocket. Roy then handed an origami to his cellmate. When the cellmate stuck the origami in the door lock of the hallway, Roy began to tear up the book, soaking the paper in the sink. Then he laid the wet paper on the window, blocking off all the air vents. Then Roy stuffs his lunch into a smelly sock and puts it down the toilet, using all his strength, squeezing the salt out of it. And then he put the stolen walkie-talkie into the salt water. The salt water is electrolyzed by the direct current of the battery, producing oxygen and hydrogen gas floating in the air above the cell. In order to successfully detonate the hydrogen gas, blowing open the steel door of the cell, the two men pull out the thin rope from the blanket, move the bed to the middle, removing the ceiling light, pulling the wires from the lamp, wrap a band-aid and a thin rope around the wire as a fuse, and the salt water is broken down over 6 hours. In all, nearly 10,000 liters of hydrogen gas were produced. The two men rushed to the toilet to cover their ears, in case the explosion caused injury to their eardrums. Then they lay under the bed. A large blanket was placed over their bodies to provide a makeshift shield. The inmates tugged on a thin rope and pulled the wire. A burst of electricity set off the hydrogen gas and blew open the steel door of the cell. When the guards heard the commotion, they rushed to see what is going on. The two men take the opportunity to rush out of the cell. They pulled out the paper crane that had been jammed into the lock, locking the door behind them, avoiding the guards, hiding in the corner of the hallway. At this point, the guards are searching the prison. Jack, who was working undercover in the prison, deliberately reported false information to the warden, creating confusion. He lured the guards to search for him in other directions. Roy took the opportunity to run to the laundry room with his cellmate, pulling out the tools he'd prepared in advance, acting as a screwdriver, tear down the cupboard, turning it into a ladder for use as a backup, then spliced the sheets into ropes, grabbed a fire extinguisher, sprayed a large amount of carbon dioxide into the barrel, made dry ice from the released carbon dioxide, poured in the alcohol, mix it with the dry ice, make a low temperature alcohol of -78.5 degrees Celsius. After stirring with a broom, use the broom to apply the cold alcohol to the window. The glass shatters instantly. The steel pipe of the window is also brittle due to the low temperature. It was easily pried off. This created an escape route. Once the two men had passed through the window, opening one by one, Roy deliberately threw the sheet downstairs. The cellmate is still wondering, why did you throw the sheet downstairs? Wouldn't you let the guards find out? You'll find out later. It's just a diversion. Roy turned around and grabbed a ladder and put it up on the eaves, taking his cellmate with him up to the roof. And sure enough, when the guards arrived, they didn't see the ladder going up. Instead, they searched the sheets underneath. When they were done, the two of them climbed to the roof of the prison. They made it to the outside of the prison and escaped.